Hello, this video is going to go over how to set up the car and human detection for the new IVS 2.2. So to begin, you'll need to make sure you are in the web interface for the camera, and to do that you'll have to open up a web browser and enter in the IP address of the camera. So once logged in, you're going to go over to Setup, and then you're going to click on Smart Event here at the top. And then in order to select which detection type you would like to use, you're going to have to click on IVS here on the right. Now in order to use the detection zone for car and human here at the bottom, you'll need to make sure you are on IVS version 2.2. If for whatever reason you do not see detection zone for car and human, or the IVS version is not on 2.2, you will need to make sure you have the correct IVS license, which you can purchase from our sales department. And once purchased, you'll have to enter the license information here at the bottom, and then the camera will require a firmware update. So now going back to the setup, you're going to go ahead and select detection zone for car and human here at the bottom, and then select submit. Once you click submit, the camera will reboot. Now to continue setting up the car and human detection, we're going to click on Setup again. Then go back to Smart Event here at the top. Now here on the left, you should see an option for detection zone for car and human. So go ahead and click on that now. So now you'll see some options here at the bottom. As you can see, they're grayed out. So in order to make any adjustments or draw any detection zones, you're going to have to click on the Edit button here on the bottom right-hand side. So now as you can see, you can enable or disable the detection. Here you can select the detection type. So this is where you would select whether you want car, human, or both car and human. And below that we have the select area, and for that you'll choose between zone or rectangle. If you select zone, it'll let you draw lines, and you can draw up to 8 lines to make whatever shape you want. And then if you select rectangle, you can draw up to 8 rectangles, again making whatever shape you want. It just gives you different coverage options. And then if you mess up while drawing your zones or need to clear it, there is the clean button here at the bottom. And the last option here at the very bottom is sensitivity. I typically just leave that on high and then make adjustments as needed. And there's another area where you can make some adjustments as well, which I'll show you in a moment. So right now I'm just going to draw a really quick detection area just to give you an example of how it should look. Basically anytime anyone crosses any of these lines, or any cars do for that matter, you should see the alarm trigger. And the reason I'm not having the ends touch is because if you click again near one of the ends, it just triggers the ability to move each of the points. So when I'm done, I go back and reconnect everything so there's no gaps. And then I'm just going to draw a couple more lines here in the middle just because there's a really huge opening here. So this will enable it to trigger again if any cars or people are walking here in the middle of the parking lot. And so here you can see I used 8 different lines to make the shape I needed. So that is one limitation with the zone option. If you wanted to do boxes instead, you could probably recreate this same thing maybe using 3 of them or 4 of them. So that gives you more flexibility with creating zones and trigger points. So when you're done setting the zones you want, go ahead and click submit, and that will save all your current settings. Now in order to optimize your detection settings, you're going to want to click on the IVS settings option here on the left hand side. So the first setting you see here is called camera view. So basically you have three options here, which is horizontal, overhead, and angle. So horizontal is best used by default. Pretty much the most suitable option for any general IP camera installations. Overhead is when the camera is installed below the target. So it's as if the camera is looking up at whatever you're trying to target. Angle is when the camera is installed above the object and has a very narrow angle. So you can play with these settings, but generally horizontal is going to be the best one. Then you have processing quality, which can be set to low, medium, or high, depending on the quality of your image. Now the next few settings here, min width, min height, and max height, are a little more tricky. It really depends on the area you're trying to cover. So basically what this means is it's a percentage of the overall size of the camera view. So min width and min height would mean that an object or person or car only needs to be 5% of the camera view in order to be considered detectable. So if you're trying to catch things from further away, you're going to want that value to be lower. If you're trying to detect things that are closer, you'll probably want that to be a larger value. Same thing with the max width and max height. If the car, for instance, is driving right in front of the camera and you have the max width and max height too low, it may not detect it because it's going to cover a huge percentage of the camera view. And so if that setting is too low, it won't detect anything. So you will have to make adjustments there and play with it based on where the camera is installed and where you're trying to catch or detect humans or vehicles. And the last setting here is confidence. So you'll want to adjust this between 1, which is low confidence, and 100, which is very high confidence, to optimize your recognition rate based on how confident the camera is that the object is human or a vehicle. So you could probably start around 50% or so and make adjustments from there. So when you're done with your settings, you're going to want to make sure that you hit submit and also click relearn background. One thing of note before clicking relearn background is that the camera will essentially be taking a snapshot of what is currently in view of the camera. So you will want to make sure there's no people or cars or anything around currently before clicking it. That way it won't ignore those when triggering alarms. So some quick troubleshooting tips just in case your objects are not being detected. For starters, you'll want to make sure you have the right detection type enabled. Then you can make adjustments to the confidence. And then after that, try making adjustments to your min and max object sizes. When you're setting up the detection areas, it's probably best to avoid the top and corners of the image. And the cameras generally perform best if the target is within about 50 feet of the camera. And so that's all there is to setting up our new IVS 2.2 car and human detection.